Hi everyone, it's Dawn. I am wanting to share with you and didn't have time to prepare for a video, so I'm going to put this audio out there as I feel like it's an emergency, really. Last night I had an experience that I thought was very imperative to share. Most of you know that I do warfare, and it's a typical part of my agenda and calling. Last night I did warfare before I went to sleep, but after an hour or two of not being able to fall asleep, I realized there was something more to it. Usually the enemy will manifest or something else will happen. I'll have whether it's the fallen council or, demonic spirits or a disembodied spirit, something will show up. And usually if I can't go to sleep, that's the reason. In this case, I was doing warfare to even try to provoke something if it were present, and nothing happened, and I still just couldn't go to sleep. So I just laid there and prayed, and I used that time, utilize it to pray and to seek God. So no matter how much I was praying last night, there was only that absence of comfort and rest in my spirit and in my body. And so it was extremely uncomfortable. And I marveled really that there was no sense of the enemy at all. So after about 3 hours of going through this and seeking the Lord, I started to drift in and out of sleep. And at one point I turned and I slightly opened my eyes to see a very tall and dark figure by my doorway. And he was like the size and a stature of a man, but his head was as if it were a ram's head. He had the ram's horns coming out the side of his head. I screamed really loud, and I sat up in my bed, and I got ready to protect myself, but when I looked again, he was gone. I'm used to this kind of level of warfare, but so it wasn't a shock to me. But what was a shock was that I was surprised that there was nothing else going on in the room at that time when I had started the warfare earlier. Usually, like I said, that will do something. So I just laid there and I prayed and I talked to God about it incessantly, but there was no answer. And so I was frustrated and I was agitated that I couldn't sleep and that God wasn't speaking to me about anything at all. So finally, after the course of hours, I began to fall asleep, and I have interaction with God and the Spirit of God, and I began to increase in knowledge and understanding. And this is what I saw and I understood, that the enemy's presence in the earth is now very large and permeating. The Word of God says that Satan is the god of this world. So the Lord was showing me that the enemy owns the world system and everything in it. He rules it. So I saw that the level of faith that God's people have currently do not match these forces of darkness to win the battle. And that was extremely important to make that part revealed, that our faith level needs to grow. I did see a few giants of faith rise, but there were only a very few. So what is absolutely necessary to be able to do warfare against the enemy, especially at that level, because Satan's going to challenge our faith, and God needs our faith to grow in the size to match the enemy's level of warfare, all of his wiles and his schemes. And really the only way to know and understand those wiles, those schemes of the enemy, is to truly know God and to seek God. And I saw that the ways in which Satan will fight our faith, and these will continue to grow and increase. He will block our faith where we're not able to have a breakthrough. There will be exhaustion, mentally, spiritually, physically, sicknesses of every kind, discouragements, a feeling of God not being with you or for you, even your faith not working like it used to before. And what I really see as the worst one is just this, lack of empathy, a feeling of, oh, well, whatever, whatever, God will take care of it, que sera, sera. So I saw people, God's people, grow discouraged and really angry, and they began to turn against God because there seemed to be no help anywhere. They thought that God had left them, so never mind, they're going to just walk away. And the feeling of the absence of God on the earth was very strong, and people were tormented and angry. You know, it's only our faith in God and the work that He has done through His Son that is ever going to save us from this time that is to come. We are literally entering into the time of Daniel 12 that he spoke about, where such as a time on the earth has never been. A great falling away. So now is the time to come into greater faith than ever before, that our lives are not in danger of the enemy's tactics and his plan for mankind to separate us from God. I saw that when the Son of Man comes, will He find faith on the earth, according to Luke 18:8. And I also saw the love of many growing cold, Matthew 24:12. Faith is a requirement with God, you guys, and without it, it's impossible to please Him. With it, we can conquer all things. Satan is the god of this world and the world system. Everyone who has been born of God comes out from the world, and this is the victory that has overcome the world, our faith. Whoever it is that overcomes the world except the one who believes that Yahuwah is the Son of God. 1 John 5:4-5. So it's imperative now to seek God, to be in His Word like never before, to grab a hold of Him now and wrestle with Him. You know what? If God be for you, no one can be against you and prevail against you. But God's requirement for Him to be with us is that we have faith in Him and in His Word. And that faith will seek God and prevail and push into God. So each person has been given a measure of faith, the Word of God says. They're like seeds that must grow. And what we have to do to cause those seeds to grow, that's our part. And it's required for proof of faith. I just want all of you guys to be prepared, and for the Word of God says that to encourage one another as we see that day approaching. And we see, as we look around, it is more that time than ever before. And God truly has been sounding the alarm through me for the last couple of years. And it just seems that this last year, 2017, 2018, it's getting stronger. Now is the time to war for your faith like never before. Press into God. Don't give up no matter what. It's that time, you guys. And God is with us if we will grab a hold of Him by faith.